Welcome again, listeners to Community Radio Northern Beaches, 88.7 and 90.3 FM, streaming live on our website, www.rnb.org.au. Our program is Oz Music. I'm Michael Lester, and if you enjoy these programs about Australian music, one of which we're going to share with you today, you can find all previous programs in my Oz Music thing if you just Google Michael Lester on Mixcloud, Michael Lester Mixcloud. There's a whole archive there of hundreds of shows. With those few words, I'm very pleased to have the opportunity to talk today about a really remarkable First Nations-led production of a dramatic musical theatre, which is going to be performing for a couple of nights here at the Glen Street Theatre in the Northern Beaches from the 28th of August through the 30th of August. It goes by the title Waltzing the Willara, and it's an incredible dramatical musical journey, also very joyful, I'd have to say, and entertaining, that takes us from the 1940s in Perth, subsequently to the 1980s era of reconciliation in Perth, and juxtaposes, I guess, some of the issues there to do with Indigenous affairs.
I look across the water, the stars, and the Willara moon shone so brightly. I couldn't tell where the night sky ended and the pool began. I was standing in the universe, in the womb of my new mother.
Set for a party tonight.
Waltzing the Willara tonight, billion stars of candlelight, dancing shadows, silver blue, golden sunrise comes too soon, and all the lovers who travel so far give their hearts to the Willara, give their hearts to the Willara.
I'm very pleased to welcome to talk with us about this two of the lead actors in this production, Lorinda Merripor and Shaka Cook. Thanks very much, guys, for joining us here to have a chat about this wonderful production you're in.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks, Michael.
Lorinda, we might start with you. You've got a bit of a long career and commitment to musical drama and theatre, haven't you? What's been the story of your passion for this, and how far back does this go for you?
Oh, wow. I really think that it goes back to birth, honestly. My parents will tell you I was a singer and a dancer ever since I came out of the womb. But I remember I was about 9 years old when the movie High School Musical came out, and that was really what set me on the path of musical theatre. And yeah, I've been lucky enough to turn it into my career, and I've done so many amazing shows around Australia. And currently we're doing Waltzing the Willara with Hit Productions, which I've also toured the Sapphires with Hit Productions. So I really do love touring Australia. It's such a beautiful country, and we're so lucky to get to see so much of it as performers. It's our job, but it also feels sort of like a working vacation.
Yeah, well, you mentioned the Sapphires, of course. This production, I believe, is being staged around the country by the touring company, is it Hit Theatre? And they've brought a number of Indigenous-led and produced shows, including the Sapphires, and one that came our way that we spoke about, it was at the Sunshine Club as well.
Yeah, yeah, good old Sunshine Club.
Yeah, yeah, this is in the same tradition, I guess. Shaka, you're a Pilbara man, are you? And what's
Yeah,
been the story of your involvement in theatre?
in theater. Well, I sort of fell into the arts. My dad put me in drama when I was in year 10 and I hated it. He just tried to get my confidence up and get me out of my shell because I was stuck to myself. I was a very shy kid and yeah, I fell into it and I just took opportunities that came my way and they led me to this pathway and confidence grew. I started figuring out what I wanted to do as a person and as an artist. And yeah, like I enjoy a good challenge. And I guess being able to face these challenges, even if I was too afraid to or scared, or didn't think I was good enough to do it, I would just throw myself in there and give it 100% and be willing to learn and adapt and grow. And I think because of that sort of mentality, I've managed to have a very fun and interesting career where I get to dabble in all sorts of genres and as an artist.
I believe you were involved in a production of Hamilton, were you, fairly recent? What sort of an experience was that for you?
That was crazy. That was one of those challenges where my agent was like, "Hey, I got you an audition for Hamilton," and I'm like, "What's that?" And she goes, "It's a musical," and I'm like, "Mags, I hate, singing in front of people." And she's like, "I know, but I'm gonna challenge you, get you out of your comfort zone." So I was like, "Okay, let's give it a go." I audition. I'm nervous as hell, and I call my agent after the first day. I'm like, "I don't think we're gonna get a call back," but I gave it 100%, and we got a call back, and I show up. It was 2 months after my first audition, and they were kind of like impressed that I held on to the stuff the directions they gave me and the things that they taught me from my first audition, and then gave me like a one-on-one session with the music director at just testing my abilities to hear what he's playing and be able to match it, vocally. And then a year of auditioning through Skype and Zoom, and then they offered the part to me, and that was a whirlwind. That was crazy because then I had to learn a whole new skill. I had to work extremely hard. But it was fun. I was surrounded by a great number of people who actually helped me along the way and were willing to listen to me when I had questions and wanted to learn something. And I think that was a massive life-changing career path for me. I originally wasn't gonna accept that role because like COVID made it very easy choice.
Well, this play that you're both going to be appearing in at the Glen Street Theatre later in August, as I say, it's an Indigenous-led production generally, but I think it's
Mm.
written by the very prolific and much awarded Puku man, I believe he is, David Milroy, who's not only written the thing, I believe, but composed all the music because it is a musical, isn't it? Now, the setting is, as I've alluded, it's a bit of a musical journey, but it opens in post-war Perth, but in an environment for Indigenous people that was very discriminatory and quite a threatening environment in many ways. But it then makes a time shift through a reunion of these people that we meet in the 1940s to the 1980s era of reconciliation. This is a big challenge, I guess, from an acting point of view, is it? Because, Lorinda, you play, I believe, a lead lady character who's both a youth in the first act in the 1940s, and then you become a 40-year-older lady in the second. What's the basic challenge for you in that sort of role?
Yeah, it is a big challenge, as you say. It was something coming into the show I was really excited about because it's very different from anything I've ever done before. So, as an actor, it was an exciting challenge. But I found that I think because we are such an ensemble cast and we have so many amazing performers, when you're bouncing off all these other actors, it just becomes really easy because you all transition into our older characters together. Um, so I find it's quite fun as well. We had an amazing director called Brittany Shipway, and she's fantastic, and she really helped a lot in figuring out how to play 40, 50
Mm.
years my senior. And I also got my dad actually to send me a lot of videos and voice recordings of my grandma to listen to kind of help me figure out how my voice would change and how I might move differently and those sorts of things. So yeah, it's a really exciting challenge to have as an actor, I think.
Very juicy challenge.
Well, as I say, it must be quite a challenge, that transition between the two acts following the intermission of what I think the play overall goes about 2.5 hours, including the intermission. So it's quite lengthy.
Mm.
In a sense, the first act, the whole setting in the 1940s, I believe, is the creation of what used to be around the country, including in Perth, in these clubs, dance clubs, I believe, where at least there seemed to be some opportunity in these dance clubs for a more joyful approach and away from some of the social pressures and legal restrictions, curfews and everything on people and fear of being arrested and what have you. So these clubs is the
Mm.
setting for the music, isn't it? Now, Shaka, for your part, how would you describe this setting and the mood that of the character that you're presenting in this first act?
Well, my character Charlie, he's taken away from the Pilbara, so he's part of the stolen generation, and and he's taken from the Pilbara and taken down to Perth. And what's amazing is that he was taken away pretty young, but he was old enough to know his culture and language and where he's from and his people. So when he's down there, he has to find a new home and new family, to be able to survive, especially in those times, like you said earlier. And the club made that a place for them to be a safe haven, place of joy, a place where they can be themselves and be surrounded by people that they hold close to them, and to escape from the harsh reality of Australia in the 40s. And I think, like you said earlier, going that time shift, that transition that happens, the biggest thing, one of the keys for us was finding the relationships between these characters, because there is a breakdown that happens, and their home, their safe place, their safe haven is destroyed. Their relationships are broken, and so when we have that time shift, we have to really focus on, all right, what's happening here, and then reconciliation comes into it with these characters and their relationships as well, and that's a beautiful thing. And then we kind of see almost a resolve happen, and it's this pain that they all share, but also this joy and laughter that they had shared as well. And the music really shows that. It does a great job at showing you that emotional journey throughout the whole story itself and with these characters.
You all understand that, particularly that first act in the 1940s club in Perth, that the mood and atmosphere is very joyful, as you say, as an element of escape in these clubs. So
Mm.
I'd imagine a lot of the music through there is joyful and entertaining and toe tapping. But as you say, this develops into the question of the relationships and the tensions that exist even within this
Mm.
club, because it is a haven, but it's also an opportunity and a venue for mixed race relationships, isn't it? Uh,
Yes, it is. Yeah.
and these lead to certain tensions too. Elsa, what are the sorts of elements of tension in the relationships that you're faced with portraying as the tension builds to quite a heightened drama and tragedy in the first act?
Yeah, well, this being an ensemble piece, there are so many relationships to deal with for each character. So my character of Elsa, she is also a part of the stolen generation. She was taken away from her mother very young, but as she became an adult, she was able to reconnect and create a relationship with her mother, albeit sort of strained. And her mother is still working as a nanny for a white family in town, and so there's also the relationship between the daughter of that family and how strained that relationship could be. And Elsa is also married to a white man who has just come back from war, who's dealing with, the after effects of war, PTSD, and we sort of see how that affects their marriage. And also the relationship that Elsa has with her good friend Charlie, played by Shaka, who is also the brother of her husband. So there are a lot of different relationships
Mm.
and strained relationships throughout the show. And the great thing about jumping forward so many years for Act Two is that you get such a well-rounded vision of all of those relationships and what they must have gone through, even in the time that you don't see.
We're on Oz Music Radio Northern Beaches. We're talking about a play that's coming up at the Glen Street Theatre later in August, 28 August to 30 August, called Waltzing the Willara, an Indigenous-led musical drama production. And we're speaking to two of the lead actors and performers, Lorinda May Merripor and Shaka Cook. Shaka, as we've heard, this is very much to an ensemble production with quite a range of complicated relationships and tensions that arise during this first act. What's it like working in such a big ensemble cast? Is that a particular opportunity and challenge to work in an ensemble in this way?
Oh yeah, it's great. It's actually amazing because you have a lot of different artists that have trained and done professional gigs, in many different fields. So then they get to bring their speciality into it, and we get to learn from that and adapt to it. But also it allows us to find this another level, like raise the bar a bit, because like okay, we get to find what people are really good at and what they excel at, and then that just enhances everything. Because what I might be terrible at, Lorinda would be great at. And it's like, okay, yeah, now we can carry each other and help each other and get this story the way we want it to be. And because like my singing isn't as great as Lorinda, she's amazing. So then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna piggyback on that. So I'm gonna lift my weight where I can in areas that I might be strong in. And that's the beauty of it. We have a lot of people, like we have Lenny who did 12 years of Bangara, and he choreographed Sapphires as well,
Yes, yeah.
and Fangirl. So we get to learn from him with all of his experiences and what he brings to the show, and bringing his background into it. So everyone with all their backgrounds being able to come together and create something so beautiful and so special, and help us to become better as artists as well. It's always a great opportunity and experience.
Yeah, it must be a wonderful show in that respect, as I understand, because I'd imagine that most of this ensemble cast, one way or another, are very much not only involved as actors, if you like, with dialogue, but with singing and dancing, as you said. Lorinda, if we come back to you as we move into the second act, as it were, which is a very different atmosphere, isn't it, when these people come together again for a reunion of sorts 40 years later in the 80s in a reconciliation era. They're meeting because their club too is going to be demolished. What's the atmosphere and setting as we move through into this second act?
Yeah, well, sort of Act One ends on a very strained note with the ensemble of cast. So it's really interesting to see, have they seen each other in the past 40 years? Have they kept up? What has changed in their lives? Like, how have the relationships changed? So it is, when you come into Act Two, there's so many questions that need answering. But I think that they do get answered in a really lovely way. I think it's just so well written. It is really well written, that every single relationship sort of gets a little bow tied on it. So yeah, I think it's really amazing as an audience member to get to see that kind of journey and where they all end up.
I understand that as we move through this strong narrative arc that this has, that's reflected in the nature of the music, I'm sure. But also, I understand that this second act has much more emphasis on dialogue and social commentary, and we get much deeper and stronger emotions coming through, do we? And pain and truth. How's that affect the atmosphere and what character you're playing, Shaka?
I think you hit it with pain and truth. That's exactly what Act Two is all about, and them accepting it and being honest about it, but then finding a way to move forward together. And I think that's the key thing. Like we said earlier, there's this rift that happens, and we don't know if they've been staying in touch with each other as much as we think. And so because of that, we get to really patch up all of these things and answer these questions, because Act Two starts with a lot of tension in it, because we're like, okay, what's happened? Decades have gone by. We know that things fell apart in Act One, but we knew how happy they were, but they don't look happy in Act Two. What's going on? And then as it progresses, you're like, oh, because the dialogue tells you the story. And first act is a lot of like, it's very physical. There's a lot of moving, there's a lot of dancing, there's a lot of singing. In the second act, the pace slows down, and you really get to dive into the emotions and the story and the journey that these characters have all gone through, and what has happened in their relationships, and then where the relationship is going to end up by the end of this act, to get that little bow tie at the end that we want. And I think all the venues that we performed in, a lot of our audiences have come along on that journey and have reacted throughout the whole thing. It's a massive roller coaster that we go through, and you get to feel the highs and the lows just as intense.
Yeah, this does sound like a remarkable journey in terms of its themes, particularly this interesting device of bridging between the two acts, the 1940s and then the 1980s, because they're very different social and legal settings, aren't they, for the Indigenous First Nations people and community? I wonder, Lorinda, this has been described as a story of reconciliation, but I've heard a quote about it that reconciliation is more than saying sorry, which is a bit of a reflection on the reconciliation era generally. But how is that a theme presented in this musical drama?
Well, I think that there's so much that is built up for these characters, so much that's under the surface that just a mere apology isn't gonna change anything for them. Like I think this, like in terms of this show, reconciliation also really, we're talking about these people and reconciling their relationships a lot as well. And I think they really need to dig deep and reveal some truths, which we get to do through Act Two. We get to the bottom of things. Like maybe there were some relationships in Act One where we didn't really understand why there was a rift between them, or we just didn't really get to any depth of why their relationship was the way it was. And we get to delve into that and really explain things and yeah, drop some hard truths,
Yeah.
which I think gives us the ability to reconcile those relationships to whatever point they get to, whether it's complete forgiveness or just understanding. We get to find that in Act Two.
I think the character Athena, played by Hannah Underwood, like that line that she says, the truth and reconciliation, rather than just reconciliation, because sometimes you might try and move forward or say sorry, but not acknowledge the truth of the past and the true history, the really dark and bad stuff that happened, the mistreatments. So to not acknowledge that and accept that and own that and try to just say sorry without, owning why you're saying sorry, I think, is a big thing that really tackles that theme. Because, yeah, you can say sorry, but it doesn't mean you mean it.
Yeah, well, these are very big themes and very big questions. The play's been described, and we're discussing the play Waltzing the Willara. It's at the Glen Street Theatre later in August, 28 August to 30 August. Listeners, sounds like a great production and very entertaining. And it is a musical drama, or at least seems described as such, and there's a lot of drama elements in here and serious. But on the other hand, I believe it's been described as a very beautiful story and very joyful. I'm just wondering, Shaka, in that respect, what for you in this play are the beautiful and joyful elements and positive elements in it?
Oh, working with a great cast that actually do a good job with their characters and, get to react and build a relationship with and have fun. And finding these little golden nuggets with their characters and these moments that we have between each other as actors and those characters that we manage to find and play with and keep moving forward and having that freedom to do that. And having a laugh and a smile, coming to work and everyone's like on their A game doing 100% and trying to always push it the next level has always been a massive joy. And then going to places like we just went to Marimbula, and it was the first time we actually got to do like a really good run of the show and had a really great audience that was just, and the theater we were in was so intimate, the audience was so close, so it felt like they were in the club with us. And that was a great feeling, because them reacting and laughing and clapping felt like it was happening within the world itself, which I really enjoyed.
Well, it sounds like a truly entertaining night that we're in for here with Waltzing the Willara. You're taking this on a tour, are you, Lorinda? It's a national tour, is it?
Yes, so we've been touring around. We've started in Melbourne, we've gone around regional Victoria, and we've just moved into the New South Wales, and we're going to be heading to Sydney. We're going to be heading more around regional New South Wales. We're taking it up through Queensland and through the NT as well. So there's plenty of opportunities to catch us.
And I suppose I should mention too, because I think I've forgotten to mention and ask about the fact that this is a musical. All the cast are singing and dancing as well as acting, but it is, you've got a whole live band there too, haven't you?
Yeah, we have a two-man band.
They're fabulous. They play multiple
yeah.
instruments. We've got the drums, we've got the piano, we got guitars, bass.
Mm.
Yeah, they are phenomenal. And hearing them put their own take on this original music is always very exciting. And
Yeah.
as singers, it's really awesome to be able to collaborate with live musicians as well.
And then we have the cast that will come up and play an instrument.
Yes, Shaka gets to
join-
play.
Yeah,
Oh, you
she
get
played
to
the
play,
guitar,
Shaka.
yeah. Brittany, when we're in rehearsals, Brittany was like, "Wait, you play the guitar? I'm gonna find a place for you." and Jalen Sutcliffe also plays. But yeah, we have a great 2-man band with the cast. I think everyone does a good job at like doing what we can to make this a great experience and a great show. And the music is fantastic. Like it's amazing.
Yes, I think that David Milroy certainly over the years has written an amazing collection of songs, highly original and much awarded and very approachable music. Okay, well, thank you very much indeed, Lorinda Merripor and Shaka Cook for joining us here on Oz Music Radio Northern Beaches to share with us some of the delights that listeners we can enjoy in their production that they're lead acting in, Waltzing the Willara. It's turning up at the Glen Street Theatre Thursday 28 August to 30 August. I look forward to seeing you, and thanks so much for joining us on Radio Northern Beaches.
No worries. Thanks, Michael.
I look across the water, the stars, and the Willara moon shone so brightly. I couldn't tell where the night sky ended and the pool begun. I was standing in the universe, in the womb of my new mother.
Set for a party tonight.
Waltzing the Willara tonight, billion stars of candlelight, dancing shadows, silver blue, golden sunrise comes too soon, and all the lovers who travel so far give their hearts to the Willara, give their hearts to the Willara.
Set for a party tonight.